He was just a quiet boy with a strange accent, a powerful left foot, and a dream far bigger than the small towns he grew up in. Kevin De Bruyne's rise to the top of world football wasn't just about talent. It was about surviving one of the most heartbreaking journeys a young player could face. Abandoned by his adoptive family, betrayed by someone he loved, and left alone in a world that didn't seem to want him, Kevin's early life was filled with pain, rejection, and moments that could have ended his story before it even began. But somehow, against all odds, he didn't just keep going. He became one of the greatest midfielders of his generation. This isn't just the story of a footballer. It's a story of loneliness, betrayal, and unbelievable strength. And once you hear what really happened to him, you'll never look at Kevin De Bruyne the same way again. They picked up the phone and made it brutally clear. We don't want him here anymore. It's not about what he did. It's about who he is. That sentence hit Kevin De Bruyne like a punch to the chest. He was only a teenager at the time, and for the first time in his young life, someone looked at him. Not his football, not his talent, but him, and said he simply wasn't enough. That he was too quiet, too distant, too difficult to connect with. The words echoed in his head for days. It's about who you are. 5 words that would haunt him. No one had ever told him that before. Suddenly, everything shifted. Kevin shut down. He stayed in his room, spoke to no one, tried not to be a burden. He went to training, kept his head down. But even that backfired. People started whispering, saying he must have done something wrong, that he was a troublemaker, that he didn't fit in. And just like that, without proof or reason, the system turned against him. When his mother finished telling him what the adoptive family had said, Kevin didn't cry. He didn't scream. He just walked outside, grabbed a football, and started kicking it against a fence, over and over again, for 2 hours, alone. The only thing in his mind were those same 5 words. It's about who you are. But the worst part wasn't being thrown out by people who were supposed to act like family. The worst part came next, when the football club got involved. Instead of defending him, instead of finding him another home, they labeled him a problem, a lost cause. They didn't even try to help. They sent him off to a boarding house, but not just any boarding house. One for difficult boys, troubled kids. That's where they put him, just because he was quiet. Kevin was 16, already feeling like no one believed in him, like he had no place. He had played a few matches with the B team, but he still felt like a nobody, invisible to most, unwanted by many. And for a while, the pain was unbearable. But then something inside him changed. One night he looked in the mirror and said out loud to himself, "Everything's going to be fine. In 2 months, I'll be in the starting 11. I don't care what it takes. I'm not going home as a failure." And that moment, that fire, it was real. He described it later as something he couldn't explain, like he was burning from the inside out. The hunger, the rage, the hurt, all of it turned into something else. Fuel. It all came to a head on a Friday night. He started on the bench, nothing unusual, but when he finally got subbed in during the second half, it was like something snapped. Boom. 1 goal, then another, and another. 5 goals in just 1 half of football. 5. Every one of them, a response to those words. They don't want you. You're too quiet. It's about who you are. Goal after goal, as if he was answering each insult with a roar. That performance changed everything. In just over a month, faster than even he had predicted, Kevin was promoted to the first team. He had proved them wrong. But even then, the story took another strange turn. Suddenly, the same adoptive family who once rejected him claimed it was all a misunderstanding. The club even said they wanted to pay the family to take him back, bring him home on weekends. They showed up, trying to make it right. But for Kevin, it was too late. He didn't even let them finish their excuses. He simply turned away and said, "You threw me away, and now that I'm doing well, you want me back." Years later, in an interview, he admitted maybe he should have heard them out. Maybe there was more to the story. But honestly, can anyone blame him? What would you have done? This is more than just a story about football. It's about rejection, about loneliness, about rising from the ashes when the world tells you you're not enough. So now the question is, if you were in Kevin's place, would you have forgiven them? Let us know in the comments. In a strange way, Kevin De Bruyne would later admit he was actually thankful. Thankful to the very people who once made him feel like he wasn't enough, because, whether they realized it or not, their rejection became fuel. Their coldness lit a fire in him, and that fire, it never stopped burning. From that point forward, everything began to change. The next few years weren't just good, they were special. But before we talk about his rise, take a moment to watch the way Kevin moves on the field, the way he touches the ball, his vision, the calm elegance in every pass. It looks effortless, doesn't it? Now imagine if there were a secret behind that style, something that could bring you a little closer to that level. Click the link in the first pinned comment to check out the boots inspired by Kevin De Bruyne's game. Stylish, comfortable, and built for precision, the perfect way to bring excellence to your own football journey. Don't wait. Take your first step toward greatness. Now back to Kevin's story. And trust me, it only gets more intense. In his first season as a professional, things were quiet. Not much playing time, not much attention. But he didn't let that stop him. He kept working. He stayed patient. And when the second season came around, he started getting more minutes, more responsibility. And then came his third season, the one that changed everything. That year, Kevin didn't just play, he made history. With 5 goals and 16 assists, he carried Genk to something they had never achieved before, the club's first ever Belgian league title. And the craziest part? They won it by half a point. Sounds weird, right? In the Belgian league, if 2 teams are tied at the end of the season, the team with the better record in the first half of the year gets an extra 0.5 points. That's exactly what happened. One of the tightest title races in football history. If that doesn't deserve a like, I don't know what does. And that same year, Kevin also reached another milestone, his debut with the Belgian national team. He didn't just show up, he stole the spotlight. After just one training session, Vincent Kompany, one of the team's senior players, told reporters, "We all looked at each other like, did you see that kid? He's only 19 and already the best player here." But don't think for a second that success changed Kevin. Even at the height of his rise, he stayed the same honest, driven, emotionally intense person he'd always been. Sometimes, that raw honesty would spark controversy. At just 19, he called out Genk's star player, Elianiv Barda, accusing him of not trying hard enough in training. And in 2012, after a crushing team performance, Kevin stood in front of the press and said something that stunned everyone. "I'm ashamed of myself and my teammates. If you don't want to play, maybe you shouldn't be here." A lot of people criticized him for that, but for Kevin, saying what he felt was never optional. It was just who he was. By the end of that year, it was clear his journey in Genk was coming to a close. Chelsea, one of the giants of English football, had been watching, impressed by everything he had done. They signed him with the hope he could eventually replace club legend Frank Lampard. But before he could prove himself in London, Chelsea sent him on loan to Werder Bremen in the Bundesliga. And that's where Kevin really began to shine. In Germany, while others were busy with tricks and flair, Kevin played with a kind of simplicity that took your breath away. Like Johan Cruyff once said, "Football is simple, but playing simple football is the hardest thing there is." That's exactly what made Kevin different. Despite Werder Bremen fighting to avoid relegation that season, De Bruyne finished with 10 goals and 9 assists. Stats that would have been impressive on a title-winning team, let alone one struggling to survive. By the end of the season, he was named Bundesliga's Young Player of the Year. A rising star was officially born, but just when it seemed like things were finally going his way, life threw him another curveball. In the middle of that breakthrough season, Kevin's personal life shattered. The person he trusted the most, his longtime girlfriend, betrayed him. And it wasn't just betrayal. She cheated on him with someone Kevin had known almost his entire life, a childhood friend, a former teammate, a fellow Belgian international, Thibaut Courtois. And to make matters worse, she didn't deny it. She went to the media, confirmed every detail, spoke about it like it was nothing, like Kevin's pain was just another headline. How do you even come back from something like that? For most people, that kind of betrayal would break them. But Kevin, he turned the pain into purpose, just like he always had. So now, I want to know what you think. Would you have forgiven that betrayal? Would you have kept going after being rejected, abandoned and betrayed like Kevin was? Or would you have walked away? Let's talk about it in the comments, because sometimes the strongest players are the ones who've been broken the most. It was one of those headlines you never expect to read about yourself. She claimed it was revenge, that Kevin De Bruyne had cheated first. So, to get even, she did something unimaginable. She spent a night with someone else, but not just anyone. She chose Kevin's childhood friend, his former teammate, and fellow Belgian international, Thibaut Courtois. And as if betrayal wasn't enough, she made sure the world knew. She confirmed it all publicly in interviews. No shame, no hesitation. She laid it all out, detail by detail. Imagine the chaos swirling in Kevin's head. Heartbreak, betrayal, humiliation, just as he was trying to prove himself at Chelsea. But things at the club weren't any easier. Jose Mourinho wasn't giving him chances. Kevin was struggling for minutes, struggling to adapt, struggling to breathe in a system that never really gave him room to be who he was. Half a season. Just one assist. No goals, no future, and then, just like that, Chelsea sold him. Most would crumble right there, crushed by the pressure, drowned in personal drama, written off as just another failed wonder kid. But not Kevin. He took the pain, the anger, the rejection, and once again turned it into fire. Wolfsburg became his next stop, back to the Bundesliga, and he didn't just play well, he exploded. Courtois may have gone to Chelsea in his place, but Kevin kept his composure. When the Belgian national team coach gave him the power to decide whether Courtois should be punished for what happened, Kevin chose peace, chose maturity, chose football. That same year, De Bruyne led Belgium in goals during World Cup qualifying, carrying the national team to their first major tournament in 12 years. His return wasn't just strong, it was triumphant. Then came a season that felt like destiny. He scored 16 goals, including 2 against Bayern Munich, ending their unbeaten streak that had lasted nearly a year. He added 27 assists, 21 of those in the league, a Bundesliga record at the time. He led Wolfsburg to a German Cup title and finished second in the league, right behind Bayern. The performances were so brilliant that he landed a spot on the Ballon d'Or shortlist and was named Bundesliga Player of the Year. Suddenly, the kid that Chelsea had let go was now one of the most exciting players in Europe. But how do you recover from a broken heart while building the career of your dreams? That's when fate brought someone new into Kevin's life, someone who changed everything, the woman who would become his wife. At first, he was hesitant. Years of media attention, betrayal, and emotional scars had made him insecure, so much so that his friend had to grab Kevin's phone and send the first message for him. But that message changed his life. Kevin says that without her, he might never have made it out of the emotional darkness he had been stuck in. And by the end of that very year, they were expecting their first child. But then came another terrifying moment. His wife woke up in the middle of the night, bleeding. Kevin rushed to the hospital, helpless, pacing the corridors, fearing the worst. That night changed everything. It made him realize that football, as much as he loved it, wasn't everything. Life was bigger, deeper, more fragile. Thankfully, everything turned out okay. But from that day on, Kevin didn't play just because he was good. He played because he was in love with the game and grateful for the life around it. A year after that emotional turning point, he signed for Manchester City in a record-breaking transfer. And with that move came someone who would see what others had missed all along, Pep Guardiola. Pep looked Kevin in the eye and said, "Kevin, listen to me. You can be one of the top 5 players in the world. Top 3, easily." Kevin didn't feel the need to prove him wrong. He wanted to prove him right, and so he did. In just their second season together, Kevin led the league in assists with 16, guiding City to a historic 100-point Premier League season. On the international stage, he continued to shine, scoring a decisive goal in Belgium's victory over Brazil at the World Cup. At that point, he wasn't just a top player, he was becoming one of the best in the world. But then 2019 hit. Injuries, setbacks, pain. The most brutal moment came the day after his second child was born. He tore a ligament in his knee. His wife joked later that Kevin didn't cry at their wedding or when their children were born. But football, that made him cry. Still, he came back stronger. As always, in the 2019-2020 season, he recorded 20 assists, matching the Premier League record. He was named the league's best player. And if the Ballon d'Or hadn't been cancelled that year due to the pandemic, he would have almost certainly ranked among the world's top 5. And remember what Guardiola said? Top 3? He was right. In the 2021-2022 season, Kevin De Bruyne placed 3rd in the Ballon d'Or voting, 2 spots higher than even Pep predicted. So now the question is, can he go even further? Can Kevin De Bruyne become the best player in the world? Let us know what you think in the comments, because his story isn't over yet. In fact, in the 2022-2023 season, Kevin helped Manchester City finally capture the trophy that had eluded them for so long, the Champions League, the big ears, the crown jewel. He was instrumental. 2 goals, 6 assists, and the kind of performances that legends are made of. And now his name is carved into Manchester City's history, forever. Kevin De Bruyne, from rejection, betrayal and heartbreak to greatness. Not just a player, a story, and maybe the best is still to come. What part of Kevin's journey hit you the hardest? Would you have made the same choices he did? Drop your thoughts below and let's talk about it. Until then, take care. See you soon.